guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. And I've got a fantastic guest for you today, Tony Schmaltz. He's got a new book, Wake the F Up, Get Out of Your Head and Smash the Results You Want in Your Life, Career, Business, and do all of this the Schmaltzy way, which is kind of interesting. He's got a fantastic story and, just basically becoming unstuck, taking ownership and responsibility and crushing it. So, Tony, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Chris.
Yeah, I know you have a very so I love talking with entrepreneurs that are on the cutting edge, and you're one of those. And talk about your early experiences, your journey along the way, and we'll dive right into it.
Oh, absolutely. So I've had several entrepreneurial experiences throughout my life. Worked in the corporate world for more than 20 years, and throughout that time, always was trying some side businesses. And a few years ago, got into coaching and been doing it ever since. And it's been a blast. Started real small, started on the side, and when things started to take off, made it full time. And it's been great. And helping people on the personal and business side is really watching people thrive and grow their businesses, their personal lives, and feeling the struggles along the way. We've had a couple of hard knocks along the way that really were eye openers.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting. So I'll talk about so you've basically you've had a comeback story more than once, and what specific mindset and strategies helped you come back stronger each time?
Well, one was keeping the belief. I've always had a vision. I've always had the strong belief. Most of my coaching colleagues actually call me the world's best belief coach because I always maintain that positive belief in what I'm doing, who I am, and where I'm going. And especially when we hit those downs, it was even more important to hang on to that belief that, guess what? This may be a down moment, but there's ups coming. Most people thrive in their ups and then they're in misery when they're in their down, but they forget about the fact that they were just up. And so that's the biggest thing for me, was keeping that vision of here's where I'm going and that belief that I'm going to get there.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's kind of like when I look back, it's like kind of like the tough times, and then it's like those are actually like building periods, and it's easy to get down on yourself, especially the last 5 years, I would say, just because everything has just gone, the shit has hit the fan. So
yeah, it has.
just everything you got, we don't have to rehash it, but
Yeah.
so you've coined the term wake the F up as a rallying cry for personal and professional transformation. So explain the core principles of your approach. It's called the Schmaltzy approach to waking up. How does it differ from conventional self-help methods?
Well, so the term Schmaltzy, if you look it up, the German definition, if you look up the English definition, is different. But if you look up the German definition of Schmaltzy, it means to be overly sappy or cheesy, like a joke is cheesy. So that's kind of me. I'm serious when it comes to business, but I'm kind of a jokester and kind of cheesy and sappy. So when I talk to people about that, it's not that I want you to be cheesy or sappy in your business. It's that's who I am. And I want you to be the real you, whoever you are. And so back to the wake the bleep up, the wake the F up, that's all about you waking up to who you are, who you really want to be, and who that is inside, because we're suppressed, we're programmed by the people around us, by our teachers, our mentors, our parents. It's everybody has programmed us to be a certain way, the media, for crying out loud. So this is about getting out of your own head and into your success. Wake up, wake the F up, and start seeing what's around you. Have that awareness to who you really are and what it's going to take to find that success for yourself.
The other question I have for you is because I love your energy, and I love I can hear the humor in your personality. I can feel it. But one thing is you balance humor and seriousness, and so your nickname suggests a unique blend of just humor and earnestness. How do you balance these elements in your coaching and speaking to both entertainment and entertainly motivate your audience?
So speaking, I have a blast. I always try to crack a couple of jokes if I'm on stage or I'm in front of an audience to keep everyone engaged. When I'm coaching, it's a little different unless the opportunity provides. Like if somebody needs an icebreaker, I might drop something in there. In the coaching specifically, one thing that I do that really breaks down that ice and adds a note of humor, but at the same time gets people out of their comfort zone, is I have what's called Schmaltzy tasks. So every time I have a coaching session with somebody, I assign a Schmaltzy task. And this is specifically designed to get people out of their comfort zone, but in kind of a fun way. And like, for example, one of them I share with people and I say, okay, go into a grocery store and I want you to walk up to random people and just whisper in their ear, I am Batman, or something similar, something like that. Or I have them go into the dairy section and start mooing like a cow, something that's not going to hurt anybody, but it's going to take you getting out of your comfort zone to do that. Because most people are worried about what other people are going to think. So they're afraid to do that. And so I'll challenge them and I'll have them take video, have somebody else record them so that I have the evidence that they actually did this each week. And so that's kind of the lightheartedness with the coaching. When speaking on stage, I'm always finding ways to joke, whether it's about my own stories or it's about somebody that's present in the audience.
I love that. And, just things that'll get you out of your shell and just kind of break your state. Kind of, I was reading this one or just where people just basically they're on their phones, they're stuck in their heads, they're worried about this, and then like something breaks that pattern, like somebody mooing in the milk section, they'll just look up and then they go back down to their. So really, nobody's really watching you, but
right.
we think everybody's watching us,
Yeah, we're always worried about what somebody else is going to think, even though, like you said, they're probably not paying attention.
Yeah, and then just the idea was like, yeah, in today's age, you may be kicked out or be asked to leave, just because it's so odd. But that's kind of our culture today. But yeah, so
who cares though? Who cares? Doesn't matter. You come back the next day.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like the stigma around, getting fired, people are like, yeah, everybody gets fired these days. And, one of my colleagues, he's like, yeah, I just fired myself. I just walked off, I said, F you, goodbye, yeah. So, kind of, moving on, I love this, your vision and energy and, and for your high energy and ability to inspire through storytelling. What's, one that resonates with your audience? Why has such a huge impact?
Great. So one of the stories I like to share is when I first went full-time in coaching. So I was working in the corporate world. I was at a middle management position. I was making good money. And I've in all my years in the corporate world, I'd never even had a negative conversation, never had a sticky note in my file. And all of a sudden I'm getting called into HR and getting laid off. I was like, wow. I was just taken way back, and I had never, like I said, I always had a positive outlook, always been growing in my career. And so when I got laid off at that company, I was just crushed. Now I'd already been coaching part-time for a while, and I had hired I had 2 coaches I was working with at the time. So I was walking out with my stuff. I got in my car and I sat there for a moment. I called my wife first, and she was surprisingly over supportive and not really disappointed. And then the second person I called was my coach. And I said to him, I told him the story of how it went down. And he paused for a minute and said, congratulations. And I said, what? He said, well, you were miserable there. And you've been telling me for 2 years, if you could coach full time, you can make it work. Here's your chance. And he was right. I did. Within a couple of months, I had that income replaced and growing from there, and been full time ever since.
Yeah, I love that. People don't really realize the potential of working for yourself, because your income potential is literally limitless, and it's like just based on personal growth and development. Whereas people will just stick to comfort, to working for a bad boss or company or industry, and just kind of limit themselves. And people really don't get that it's it's very the limitless potential. So next question is the future of personal development, and looking forward, what do you see as the next big evolution in the field of personal development and coaching, and how are you preparing to adapt and lead in this future landscape?
Oh, that's a good one. So the way the future is looking, I'm not sure I'm a big fan of, because the AI has really kind of taken a hold of the whole industry a little bit. And it's kind of a little, in my opinion, a little disappointing, because I like that personal interaction. I personally don't use AI. I might query Chat GPT every once in a while, but I mean, I don't use it for any of my content or any of my writing. And so I see that being part of the future. There's a lot of my colleagues who have already started incorporating AI into what they do. And for me, it seems a little really inauthentic. So for me, my personal future is I'm going to continue to be authentic and stick with my ways. I'm going to continue to grow and get better at my craft and better at speaking and better at engaging. Although unfortunately that's where I see the future going, and it's not really a path I've chosen yet. I don't know. Do you see anything different? I mean, what else do you see in the future of personal development?
Well, I know a lot of individuals are just they're looking for higher meaning, and so we have because I was thinking the other day, my parents, grandparents lived through war and famine, and like serious, like no water, food, shelter, clothing, physical safety. Now we have all of these, so now we're complaining about a pandemic or a great financial crisis or a tech bubble collapse, and it's more of these like kind of things that just jar us. And but I think a lot of people are just I think the personal development and coaching industries will always be there because we have a generation of individuals that really can't fit into this existing mold, and so they're going to be always looking for things to a lot of people I talk to, they're like, yeah, something's wrong, like, but you can feel it, you can feel the frustration, you can feel the anger, you can feel the just people mean to each other, all that. So I think this personal development coaching is always going to be there. So yeah, what?
I agree with you. I think it will be. And a lot of people, like you just said, they don't know what's missing. And so
Yeah,
they need that coach to help that inner work and find out what it is, bring that out from the inside so that they can finally be themselves and be a little schmaltzy and grow and become the person they need to be. And
yeah,
whether they stay in a career or they go out on their own as an entrepreneur, regardless, when they have that they have that fulfillment on the inside, it helps with
yeah,
the outside.
yeah. Talk about creating miracles in your business, career, relationships, and life.
And so I love helping people create miracles. In fact, it's back to comfort zone,
Uh-huh.
and not just comfort zone. I've got a client that recently I was having a conversation with her, and she was trying to run a workshop, and she didn't know how to get started. And even though I could have told her, I found somebody who I knew would be better at it. And so while we were right on the phone, while we were on the Zoom call, I picked up my phone and I called this guy and I said, "Hey, Devin, I've got Jen on the phone right now. She's trying to start a workshop. What can you do so that we can help create this together?" And I just did this and put it in front of the microphone, and he talked her through it. And then within 2 hours, she had already created the venue. She had already created, like, within the first 2 hours, she already created these miracles. And it happened. It happened within a month. She had this workshop and filled the room. And it's those types of things, the things where people don't expect you to go above and beyond. That's when I talk about creating miracles. And I've had the same thing with relationships, people who are not having a great relationship with their wife or husband. And you find that through conversation of, here, why don't you try this or have a conversation like this? The next thing you know, they've got the best relationship in the world.
Yeah,
So it's finding those little things. It's often just little things, but people need that little nudge, that little push.
yeah. Talk about your book and the central thesis. How can it help the audience? Where can they find it, and how can they reach out and work with you?
Absolutely. So again, the book is Wake the Bleep Up, Wake the F Up. Amazon wouldn't let me use the F word. So you can find it on Amazon, and you can search Wake the Bleep Up or search my name, Tony Schmaltz. And within that book, there's contact information. There's links to a resources page where you can find out more about what I do, or you can go to tonyschmaltz.com. You've got all my programs, all my contact information, and then reach out to me. There's a calendar link. You can get on my calendar, or we can have a conversation and see how I can help you grow. Worst case scenario, get a copy of the book, because it's the part one is all about mindset, getting out of your own head so that you can be more fulfilled and be more aware to what's happening around you and learn and grow. Part two is changing bad habits into good habits. And part three is bringing it all together, the steps you need to really find the success in your life.
Yeah, I love that. And for all the audience out there, let's thank Tony for coming on. And I'm really happy I was to have him on the podcast, and his passion, his energy, very unique energy, and all of his resources will be in the links and show notes. Give him a like and follow on social, and check out his book. And Thanks so much for coming on to the podcast. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Chris. It's been a pleasure.